Hi everyone, welcome and welcome to another masterclass today. I'm so pleased to see everyone happy and healthy. And I see the Vice President Udeme, I see our former President Vivian, who will be our speaker today. I'm really excited that we are able to do this today. And for some of us that are still joining us, you're welcome. Today, we are going to be discussing something that is really, really very interesting and something that Vivian has a lot of experience with. If you know Vivian, when she was still the president of IIGL, you see that she has a lot of work that she's doing in her hometown, Kenya. So many accolades that she has received in the past. And if we are talking about social entrepreneurship and in IIGL, and we don't mention Vivian, then we have not started. So she is the perfect person to actually, teach us this, because we know in IIGL, you may know that in level 7, a lot of people want to do community projects, or you even want to do your own personal project. You want to know exactly what to do from the beginning to the end. You see a lot of people make mistakes in the beginning and even give up on their dreams and projects. So the main purpose of this masterclass today is that we'll hear from an expert, somebody that has done it over and over again, so that if you want to start something in your community, even if it is for yourself, for your own small community, or for a bigger impact, you have a roadmap for it. So we believe that whatever Vivian is going to share with us today is going to be very, very helpful, not just for IIGL students alone, but for any other person that wants to start something, to make an impact in your community. This will be a very good resource for you. So Vivian, take it away. Can you introduce yourself and tell us who you are, what you're working on right now, and what we'll be expecting from today's masterclass?
Thank you so much, Linda, for the brief introduction and for putting me on the spot to do this. Vivian Muciri. I wear many hats, but former president of IIGL, currently the president emeritus. I sit in various booths of social enterprise. I built my career in the nonprofit, so worked in South Sudan and later started my own organization. So currently the executive director of Vision for Change Foundation, which was actually my level 7 project in IIGL. So today we're going to discuss forming a social enterprise from idea to reality, because that was the theme I was given by Linda. And I'm going to divide it into two, coming to the place of self-awareness and packaging ideas into a social enterprise, what it entails, the workload that you're going to put in place, and the opportunities around your community. So looking forward to have an interactive discussion. If I'm too fast, feel free to slow me down, because sometimes people tell me I'm too fast. If you have any questions, we can handle them later. So I'll start by introducing my foundation. My foundation is called Vision for Change Foundation. It operates in Kenya, covering 3 regions in Kenya, which covers more than 3 or 4 counties, because currently we're using counties in this nation. Actually, more than 5 counties. Sorry about that. And the core of our program targets at-risk youth, mainly youth in prison, ex-convicts, and juvenile delinquents. These are young juvenile 13 to 18 who have criminal history or background. And we focus on 4 thematic areas. One is discipleship, which mainly is just church in prison. We look at livelihood resilience and economic development, which focus on youth and women empowerment in agribusiness. We have a program called Rapid Business Incubation, which focus on skill enhancement and linkages of skill to market and access to financing. We also focus on talent behind and beyond bars, which looks at talent development, training, and visibility for this particular group. And actually, this is one of our most famous programs within the organization. We are known for talent shows in prison. Then we do education and leadership development, looking at programs that are geared towards purpose to profession, evidence-based both life skills, personal development, and TVET trainings. So those are the things Vision for Change Foundation does. And one of our biggest aspirations is to develop leadership and business incubation hubs across the regions we work in, and in great collaboration with the Ministry of Interior and Ministry of Education, looking at building sports and talent centers and having to create halfway homes for released inmates and non-custodial inmates. So that is our aspiration as we progress and as we move on. Vision for Change Foundation was started in was institutionalized in 2019, but we started operation as far as around 2013, 2014. But my engagement with this group started in 2009. So our vision basically is to bring a holistic, dignified, and self-actualizing individuals who are pillars in the society. So that is the main vision for the organization. And our philosophy is to inform, inspire, and impact a generation. So that is just a snapshot of who we are, what we do, and how long we have existed. So from basically the experience and journey through Vision for Change, we will handle the topic and create fundamental principles that has gotten us here, to be able to encourage you to know how to, if you're thinking of getting into the social enterprise space, what it entails, what you need to have in the back of your sleeve, and how to remain consistent and diligent in this space. Yeah, so I will look at one, the journey. The journey started, I think, in 2009, where I would visit prisons with an institution that had offered me education scholarship. Then, as I did my IIGL studies and got to level 7, where you're required to start a project, I started by redesigning the things I was doing, in calculating my passions, my interest into an institution, and was able to come up with Vision for Change. So 3 things I look at. The first thing is cultivating self-awareness, where we look at, we'll try to answer 3 questions, because from self-awareness is where now I developed the idea, and from the development of the idea, I was able to come up with an institution. Eventually, it's a process. And in the place of self-awareness, I want to look at 3 key fundamental things. That is, what are you passionate about? What bothers you most in the world? And how can that become your purpose? Because sometimes we might be passionate about some things, but you're not able to cultivate it into purpose. So from passion to purpose. And also sometimes we might be bothered by situations in the world, but we are not able to develop that into an institution, or when we try, it tends to fail. So when I say about cultivating self-awareness, the best way personally I've learned in developing a social enterprise is being able to identify the problem and create a marker of passion that will drive you from just seeing the problem and being able to solve the problem. So what am I passionate about? This is things that you look into that gives you meaning, you're delighted to do it, paid or unpaid. That's your passion. You get passion from what can I do if I'm paid, or if I'm not paid, I'm willing to do it. That's where you come to discover passion. Then you go to the place of what bothers you most in the world. That is where you start building into purpose. For example, the plight of children might be what bothers you most. Maybe children going to school hungry within your community. Sometimes maybe built from past experience or pain. You're bothered when people walk through a particular journey that you walked through. For example, if you had struggle with a particular situation in your life, you develop compassion towards that, and it really bothers you when you see people going through a particular situation. So it has to be very clear that this is what bothers me. Let's say in the space of education, children not having something as simple as shoes or books to go to school with. And I am passionate about teaching. For example, I'm passionate about helping young people do homework. Connecting the two and marrying the two can help you develop a purpose. And when you look at my foundation, I incorporated my love for education and talent, because talented in all front, like our talent behind bars program. I inculcated football, which I played in school. I inculcated fine arts and performing arts, which is something I used to do for fun, but now I was able to package it into the institution, and it's something, I don't see it as work, because the biggest challenge of doing a social enterprise is when it becomes work for you. It becomes difficult to sustain, because these are places where in the initial stages, you will not earn out of it, but you'll find fulfillment of impacts that you're making. So when you look at, this is my passion, this is what I'm willing to do, paid or unpaid. That's how you discover your passion. This is what I'm willing to do. And when I get engrossed of it, I tend to be so vested in it that time is not a factor, that the reward and the fulfillment of doing that which I love surpasses any other reward that is external. The sense of accomplishment surpasses every other work that is external. Then when it comes to what bothers me, so what is it that I'm mostly aware of? What is the problems that makes me lose sleep in a night? How can I be able to solve this problem? Hi, welcome, Deb. Nice seeing you. How can I be able to solve this problem? So what does it bother me? What are the solutions within my capacity to be able to do it? And when you marry these two, you can develop a purpose. How to use my passion to address the challenge that bothers me. So that becomes your purpose. So from the place of self-awareness, and in the space of self-awareness, the critical thing and is coming to the place of developing values, developing values based on your belief, developing attitudes and actions. So it births from the essence of your being. It births from the essence of design. So what is my belief? Maybe I believe every children need to have a meal. Going back to, this is why this problem bothers me. That has to be very clear for you. And once you have developed that, now we go into developing the idea. So I will still use the example of the plight of children, bothered with children not being able to have proper education. And I say this can come from our own experience, our own circumstances, environment, or how the situations we grew up in, our past experience and pain. So from there, you develop now the idea. So if this is the problem, this is my solution. How am I going to address this problem? So that gives you the place of birthing an idea. And the idea stems from, this is where I am, that's where I want to be, and helps you to build in a vision for your social enterprise. So when you come to this stage, this is where now going to what I was talking about, idea development, generation, and prototyping. So idea development stems from the problem, the solution, and the resource I have. So the problem, go back to the example I was using, I'm very disturbed with children not being able to go to school. So that's the problem. What will be my solution? Maybe creating access to opportunities for scholarship, or creating an opportunity to do tutoring for these young kids so that they may be able to acquire the skills. So that is your idea. So when you have this idea, it has to marry. Now goes to my second place where I was talking about, from purpose, we go to, from cultivating self-awareness, we're going to identifying the societal problem. Because you might say, really bothered for children not going to school, and then you put in your solution being getting them school fees to go to school. But the issue might not be lack of school fees. The issue might be cultural norms, because in a rural setup, it is better off for the children to work in the farm rather than go to school. So when you come to your solution, it might not be tailored to address the major challenge within the society. So you might have a good idea from an outside perspective, but it is not the societal problem. It's not the underlying factor of the underlying societal problem. It might be children are not going to school because of school fees. It might be children are not going to school because of lack of limited resources to aid them going to school, such as the school might be very far from where they live. The parents cannot afford educational material. For example, in Kenya, the primary school systems are free, but you have to pay for other things to allow you to go to school. So it might be parents are not able to afford the other things that are needed for them to go to school. So you need to come to the place of, I've seen the problem, I think this is my solution. But when I engage with the society, it means your solution is not tailored to address the problem. So you have to now do assessments and research to say, is my idea viable? Is the problem realistic? Is it within the cultural norm? Then you tailor your solution to address the problem. You tailor your solution to become tangible within the society. So how do we do that? This is the idea. This is what I think. But when I do my assessment, one is assessment as simple as talking to people within the community, as simple as engaging with different parents and different children to discover why they're not going to school, and then being able to tailor the solution geared towards the society, but not coming in with the solution that you think is viable, or coming with a solution that is of isolation. Because especially if you tailor it within your experience, you might find your experience is isolated. But and in this space, because it's a social enterprise, is geared towards addressing societal problems and issues for the betterment of the society, it has to carry people along. So once you develop the idea, the first thing is problem solution. The next thing you can do is idea prototyping. Idea prototyping, from my own experience, I think it's better to do it before you register your institution. And I'll give my reasons for that, because if you register the institution, the pressure of being at par with what you're doing, the pressure, I don't know how it is in other nations, but in Kenya, for example, if you register a non-profit organization or a community-based organization, there are parameters of operation. If you say you're focusing on this, you're limited within that scope. If you say you, for community-based organization, it limits you also in terms of geographical location within a community. So because you're looking to build into a social enterprise, I personally, and from past experience, I think it's better for you to do your idea prototyping before you register. which can start at the place of volunteering. It gives you room for trial and error. It gives you room to readjust and refine your idea. And then it gives you room to be in tune and to build a community. By design, Vision for Change was not the first institution I registered. I started with an institution called Audit, which was focusing on similar demography of people, but very limited activities. We're only doing mentorship and coaching for youth within Dandora. Then as I was doing that, I came and realized majority end up in the life of crime because of economic factors and because of lack of technical know-how, not lack of basic education, but technical know-how of translating into skills into proficiencies for the market, linking the skills and the market, being relevant in what you learned and how to package that to a source of livelihood. And within that period, Audit didn't see it was not easy to sustain because we kept on having to tweak it. But when we did Vision for Change, perspective was different. We were able to see the problem, challenges, and address. So that's why, preferably, when you do idea prototyping, it's better to do it when you don't have an institution. It will be more of a volunteering basis. It gives you even access of community buy-in because you're able to test, to tweak it. There is no obligation in terms of overheads of running an institution. And it helps you make the idea better and also informs you on what form of registration to take. If you're doing a nonprofit, if you're doing is it an NGO, is it a community based on an organization, is it companies that are limited by guarantee, the foundation, etc. So it will inform you better than when you have the institution and start working backwards. So that is what I'll say. So once you have the idea, you've pre-tested, you fine-tune it, and it's ready for the market, then we go to the other nitty-gritty of building an institution, which looks at now the registration process, because you'll need an outfit to operate in any nation. So the registration process is when now you start building into what is the best form of registration, what are some of the resources I need to be able to register. This is when now we come to building a vision board that helps you cultivate the vision, the mission, the objectives of the institution. Why do you want to exist? What is your vision? What is the end game? And for me, the easiest way in this phase I can talk about, it's a 5-step process where you say, this is where I am. This is the societal problem of sin. That is the solution I want. That is the vision I need to hold on. That is the vision I want to see at the end of the day. More children being able to go to school and finish school. More children graduating from school. Community valuing education and being able to support children in school and meeting the challenges that are limiting them to go to school. Then we come to the objectives. These are the steps I'm looking to take. So why do I want the children to go to school? What will be the outcome? How will we sustain them in school? Then we come to the resource. These are the people, because the resource, we divide it into people I need to work with, institutions I need to work with, and the financial resources, because most of the time we limit ourselves on financial resource, but we forget that it goes beyond the finances. You need to build a community, a group of people who are your beneficiaries, for starters, the community, and then a group of people who are your team, which can come into professional basis, people you employ in the institution, or volunteers. Then come to the institution. If I'm working on children going to school, we need to engage with the schools, we need to engage with maybe Ministry of Education, we need to engage with the community and local authority leaders so that we are able to bring a holistic approach of solution at community level. Then now the financial resource, this is how much I need. And this is when now it's very critical. So when I come to the place of registration, I need to be very clear on the vision. I need to be very clear on the mission. I need to be very clear on the objectives that I want to achieve. I need to be very clear on structure. How will the institution look like? What will I want to be known of? What do I want to be remembered of? And what is our biggest motivation? Why do we exist? That has to be very clear so that you're able to bring people along. Majority of social enterprise thrive on identity and community buy-in. What do people know you of? Or when they think about you, what comes in mind? So that you have to do it very clearly. And you look at now the bigger picture. That's why I said start with doing a vision board. It's very easy. What's the big dream? Set goals and take action. And when you're setting your goals, has to be a SMART goal. I prefer SMARTer, which it has to be very specific. It has to be motivational, actionable, relevant, time bound. Sorry, just a second. Time bound, exciting, and constantly review, because when you're working in alignment of your passion, if you're not deliberate in it, you would get lost in it, and you might find you're in motion and not making progress. You might find you're carried away in the doing and you forget these other factors that surround running an institution. And then, so first we go into registration. Processes of registration differ by nation, but fundamentals of that, you need to have a vision, you need to have a mission, you need to have an objective that builds into that. You need to know the best outfit that will help you achieve your goal, that will help you meet the vision, that will give you an outfit that will allow you to operate within the institution that you're working with and within. Then now you need to come to the place of developing the networks that you need to work with, which looks at the resource, human resource, financial resource, and institution resource. Then you have to come up with fundraising strategies. And the fundraising strategies, you look at collaborations that will bring in financial resource that you need for the institution to run. Resources, human resource that is needed, because in the initial stages of an enterprise, a lot of the work will be put upon you, but you have liberty. Currently, you have liberty to navigate such measures. Like Vision for Change thrives a lot working with volunteers. We have partnered with universities who give us interns. Then we have created a system of having human resource that is streamlined and that is, we absorb the youth that are beneficiaries in our program. We are able to absorb them to work for us. So that cuts a lot on the overhead on human resource. So you have to think of strategies that are sustainable for your institution and that will maximize the resource within your capacity. Our system of fundraising is through partnerships and collaboration, where we fundraise out of relationships and supplement that with solicited donors to support our vision. Some of the major challenges of doing a social enterprise is one, very time consuming. Number two, creating systems of sustainability, because you find most social enterprise will receive funding out of the basis of being able to do the activities. Especially if you're in Africa, majority of donors will emphasize activities over administrative costs. So it takes you a while before you are able to build a sustainable cash flow to make the institution run without a lot of donor dependency. So those are things you have to factor in when you're building the institution. And apart from that, the other major challenge is community buy-in, where you really need to try, test, and prove your idea, the solution that you're offering, to be able to address the challenge. That has been one of our major challenges, especially because of the policies around youth crime and social ethics within the country for us for a specific project. But you'll also find mindset and things like that will still get you to struggle a lot with community buy-in. So you have to constantly build your constituency. You have to constantly prove that your idea can bring transformation. It's not only a drop in the ocean. Also, in terms of networking with other institutions, it takes a lot of collaboration. It takes a lot of engagement that will get other institutions network with you. So what are some of the fundamental things now that you have an institution and you've thought through all this? What are some of the fundamental things that you need so that you have an outfit that is credible? You need to think about policies, financial policy, procurement for accountability purposes, and to be able to connect so that your idea is not an idea, but the idea has been packaged into an institution. So it becomes an outfit that people can give in the parameters of implementation determines the level of partners that you bring in, the level of community buy-in. So you have to really think through that, the policies that you're establishing, the systems and parameters of accountability, the transparency mechanism of the social enterprise. So that becomes very critical for you as you're building the social enterprise. And also in terms of how will we sustain ourselves? How will we be able to come to the place where we are not donor dependent, where we are not, where we are issue driven, purpose driven, rather than donor driven, so that we're not moving away from that which we love doing. So we're not moving away from that which we are passionate about and into being carried away by the issues that are rising, because there are many issues that arise if you're not focused, if you're not zero focused in what you do. You become a jack of all trades. You lose identity within the community, and you lose impact. You become a touch and go system. So in the place of the institution, one, we build a brand identity. Brand identity is, what do we want to be known of? If my institution is mentioned, what is the key thing that people will know us about? Number two, we need to create systems of mechanism of sustainability. So going back to the example, my focus is education and children. So the first problem I want to address is minimal numbers of children in our community going to school. So in the process of getting them to go to school, we discovered there's a second problem where girls drop out of school because of various factors. such as early pregnancy, etc., etc. So I build the project from where I started. Then you can incorporate other problems to give you an identity. My encouragement, personally from experience, I usually encourage people not to go for more than 4 thematic areas, but start with one, perfect one, then build on the rest. Because if you go on more, personally, if you go on more than 4 thematic areas, you spread thin and you lose focus. But when you have 2 or 3, you're able to focus, you're able to increase your impact, you're able to increase your brand visibility, where you're known for a particular issue, a particular problem, where you're able to zero even the networks of stakeholders you engage with within the space that you're working on. The other thing I'll say is you being able to engage with other stakeholders, not zeroing yourself to the problem, the beneficiaries, and the team you work with, but broadening your network, bring a cross-pollination of ideas, cross-pollination of, I'll call it experience sharing and learning, and give you access to different perspectives. So you, as you're building this, I would encourage you to build a diverse team of partners and network beyond your donors and beyond your beneficiaries and even the institution that you want to work with, because it brings a fresh perspective of what you're dealing with and how to deal with that. So what I'll say is there's a value in starting small. There's so much value in starting small. You do not have to get $1 million for you to address the problems within your society. You do not have to impact 100 people in a day. You can start with one, then build it up, build it up, build it up. And as you continue doing that, you're able to maximize impact, maximize influence, and you're able to learn as you progress. Always focus on a forward momentum. As you build your institution, be just focus on forward momentum. I registered. I'm able to build a team of volunteers. I'm able to engage with maybe 10 children. I'm able to rally 5 people to support me. I'm able to get all the policies I need put in place. The other thing is, I've said set goals, set goals. The goals help you to remain on track. The goal helps you to manage progress. The goal builds you up as you progress. So don't go into building big, starting from the end. Strategic plans and documents, etc., it will put a lot of pressure on you. But working within the capacity you are, and the more you are building on your goals, the more you'll see forward momentum and you will see success. So it will motivate you. It will keep you going. And don't overthink it. Starting a social enterprise or starting an institution, it's very easy. Sometimes we overthink it. We think this is what we need, but change starts small. That's why I said we start from self-awareness, cultivating this is what I want, this is what I'm gifted in. And then from self-awareness, developing now the idea and into developing the institution. So start small. There's a value of starting small, and incorporate your values into the social enterprise, incorporate your talents and gifts, and narrow down your interests. You narrow down your interest and explore your timing and what you want to achieve. So this will really help you in terms of how do I get to build progress? How do I get to see the progression of my institution? Whatever you need, the resource is already out there. So you do not have to be a master of all. You do not have to know everything. For example, my biggest support when I did IIGL, when I did Vision for Change was IIGL. I had Judith, I had people like Ethelbert, Felix, who offered wisdom counsel. I was able to connect with people like Eric, who already has an institution in Kenya, Alpha Network, Coach Bikindo. So the resources are within. And so where I needed advice, where I needed support, I was able to get the support I need. And as I progressed, I was able to know the resource I need, the human resource I need, and I was able to access it through other avenues. So it is not, this is to encourage you, you're not limited based on your capacity, but you have all the resources around you that you can tap in and that can help you build what you're building. So in conclusion, I know it's coming to realizing who I am, what I'm passionate about, what is the problem within the society, how can I marry my passion and the problem to develop a purpose. That is the self-awareness. Then we go to identifying the societal problem. This is where the idea prototyping comes in. This is the problem I've seen. This is what bothers me. This is what I'm gifted in. This is how I want to solve it. But is it viable to the society I'm living in? Is it viable to the problem that I want to address? Is the problem based on an assumption? Am I assuming that because I've seen children not going to school, it's because they cannot afford school fees? So that has to be very clear. My encouragement is from idea to idea prototyping, you're better off doing this outside an institution because you have the flexibility of making mistake. You have the flexibility of making it better, tweaking it, building on it and getting the idea tested and tried. Then from there, we now go to the institution, which I've said for me, 5 steps of developing an institution. This is where I am, the problem. That is where I want to be, the vision. These are the steps I want to take, the objectives, and these are the resources I will need. Very simple. Then from there, decide, okay, this is the institution outfit that best suit my idea. Said in Kenya, we have the non-profit NGOs, non-governmental organization, community-based organizations, self-help groups, and foundations. So what best outfit will help you address the problem that you see? And then from there, I've said in the place of institution, develop your structures, profile, do your mapping for potential sources of funding, establish partnership and network, and be very clear of the resource that you need. So once you have done all this, now we come into the fundamentals of running an institution. And that is where now we look at marketing, we look at promotion, we look at basic strategic plan and strategic documents, we look at building a team, we look at funding and funding resource. And as we're doing that, as we're building the institution, the last thing we need to think about is sustainability. If I'm doing a social enterprise, how will I sustain my social enterprise beyond donor funding? How will I sustain my social enterprise beyond volunteers coming in? And how will I create a posterity of impact? How will I be able to gauge my impact within the scope of what I want to work in and what I'm working within at my community level? And how are we growing? How are we growing at the end of it all? How are we addressing the problem? How are we impacting our community? And how are we able to build and grow within the scope of what we are doing? So I hope I was very clear. In case there's any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, Linda, back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vivian, for that. I really appreciate how you structured everything. I took some notes. I hope everyone took notes, and I really found some of the things you shared very interesting. Like my two favorite ones, or the first one I'll say is my favorite one, is don't overthink it. I think not just in social entrepreneurship, but like in so many things that we do in life, right? Like you want to do anything, like your personal project or something in your family, if you start thinking about it like it's something that cannot be done, or you see somebody that did something that is so big, you don't really know how the person started, and then you overthink it. It's so I really like that. And another thing I like that you mentioned is that if you're working on something that you are passionate about and you don't have a smart goal, you're likely to get lost in the process. That really rang a bell because sometimes you think that you are in the right track, but if you don't really like stop to evaluate to see if you're still doing what you're supposed to do, or you don't even have like a very clear goal in the beginning, at the end of the day you might find out you're doing something else, or something that you may not really like. So I really like that. So I'm going to leave the floor for everyone who has one question or the other. So if you have any question, just raise your hand. So you see like a raise hand button like this, just click on that and then we'll allow you to unmute and ask your question.
Silence means I was very clear. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Let me see.
I think Alice
Alice,
is
go on.
lifting up
Yeah.
her hand.
Hi,
Hi.
good evening from Uganda. Sorry, I can't turn on my camera. Where I am is kind of, yeah.
That's
But
fine. That's fine.
I'm really grateful. Thank you so much for this masterclass. It's been awesome, Vivian. I have written notes and thank you so much for that clarity. I actually wasn't going to ask a question. I just wanted really to comment that there's something that you said that I've also written down, and it's really like a light bulb for me. One of that, sometimes as social entrepreneurs, you think that you're going into a community, you've seen a problem, you want to solve it. You want to solve it from your perspective. But the thing that you said is what is the underlying societal problem? Because sometimes you go to a place and you find, okay, these girls drop out of school at an early age and you want to pay school fees, but not understanding that the issue is not lack of school fees. The issue could be that culturally girls up to 15. By the time you're 15, you're supposed to be getting married. Why are we paying? Why are you still in school? And so for me, that has really struck a chord. In Uganda, there's a society, a tribe in Uganda called the Karamojong. Once upon a time, it used to be said in Uganda, we shall not wait for Karamoja to develop. And because of saying that, that Karamoja region has actually been left behind in so many ways that they are such mostly a backward community, you would say. But one time, some people came from the outside thinking their biggest problem was latrines. So they decided to build latrines, sunk in quite a number of, like millions of dollars into building latrines. Only to realize a year later, the latrines are not being used. And they were asking, okay, what happened? Why is it that these people are not using the latrines that they were constructed? Then only to realize later on that these people actually don't believe that in latrines, because they think that if you use the latrine, then their women will be barren. And so the money that was sunk there could have been used for something totally different. And so as social entrepreneurs, we have to be careful of the thinking that we are the ones with the solution, but the solution should come from the people. You've seen the problem, go sit with them, find out what the problem is, and get the solution from them. That will save you so much. So thank you very much. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alice. That was really, really good. And the example you gave, yes, is spot on. Thank you for that contribution. Any other questions or comments?
So,
Hello, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes, we can.
Okay. So, thank you very much, Vivian. Though I struggle with internet, but I was able to get a whole lot of facts from you. Thank you very much. That was a very wonderful. Understand the concepts you were saying. I don't know if you can also clarify just a little.
Just repeat what you said. Oh, you got it, Linda?
I think he just made comment. Can you say that again? I think we didn't get everything you said, Delbert.
Yeah, yes, I didn't get the what you meant. I said change starts small. You were trying to give a little. Say change starts small. Just can you just elaborate it a little while? Thank you.
Oh, the place of change starts small. What I'm saying is there's a beauty of starting small and maintaining a forward momentum. Because sometimes when you want to build a social enterprise, we tend to think we're not making impact when we start small, because you're dealing with a community that has over 500 people and you're able to only impact one person. The one person to look like you did nothing in the midst of the 500. So when I say change starts small, is from that one person, keep on building, and eventually you'll be able to feel your impact when you get to 50, when you get to 100, when you get to 200. So the forward momentum is where, as you keep on building, as you start small, it is not in vain. It might not look like you're having much of an impact, but when you maintain the forward momentum, you will see it eventually coming into fruition when a complete society is changed and when a complete group of people are influenced. So I hope that's clear. And thank you, Alice.
Yes, I'm cleared. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, unless there's someone else, I just wanted to share something small I developed, which I use with the young men around setting up their strategic plan, because sometimes you look at what we learn in school and it looks very complex, but most of the time, how I've structured it, and this I believe will help someone in the building of their social enterprise. One is just doing a reflection of the 3 questions I started with. Self-awareness, what am I passionate about? What is the problem I want to solve? And how can I marry the passion and the problem to develop purpose? Then identifying the problem. And after identifying the problem, coming to my program is geared towards what are the solutions I'm moving towards. Then that will help you build a vision, a mission, a philosophy, and a core value. After you've done that, you go to something very basic where you create the actions, who's responsible, required resource that you require, and the constraints you will meet along the way and how you can mitigate those constraints. Then we can look at the last thing, which will be a SWOT analysis. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my opportunities? And what are my threats? And how can I maximize my strength? How can I take advantage of my strength? How can I mitigate my weaknesses? How can I tap into the opportunities around me? And how can I deal with the threats? So I liked Alice's example of saying you might find girls are dropping out in school because at the age of 15, because girls fetch a lot of cows and they're going to be married, so the parents do not see the value of educating a girl, for example. When you want to champion a girl education program in such a society? What is your threat? The parents of the girls will have issues with you because if the girl is acquitted to dowry, so girls get married at the age of 15, but now you're advocating for girls to have an education. First threat, you'll have rejection from the communities and the families and etc. So how do I mitigate these threats? Which can be one, awareness raising on importance of an educated girl. They fetch more than dowry, etc. And impact. So you have to just to guide you as you're doing your social enterprise to think through this, and then being able to use it as a benchmarking for you in terms of progression and progress. Yep. So I hope that was clear.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you, Ethelbert, if you're still here, for that question as well. So if you have any more comments or questions, please ask now. As we wait for anyone to ask question or to think through the presentation and ask, Deb joined us. Deb, do you want to say hi? Deb is the director and she's here currently. We are happy that you're able to stay with us today, Deb. If you want to say hi, you can.
Hi, everybody. Vivian, that was magnificent. And thank you, everyone, for joining in. We have a mixture of students and grads, and it's just great. It's just so great. And such a good idea, this masterclass, which I think, Vivian, you and Ethelbert and Felix all began, just to share experiences, knowledge that you all have, and it just fills my heart. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Deb. We appreciate you. Thank you, everyone. Do you still have questions? Is there anyone that is not an IIGL student right now? Try and go to the IIGL website and apply if you love what you're seeing, if you are interested in making an impact in your society, if you have seen everyone that joined IIGL and the impact they are making in their communities. Just go to the website and apply, send an email, and they will get back to you. And everyone, I can see Felix, I can see Kennedy, I can see Rita. Thank you all for joining today, and I hope you learned something. I learned a lot of things, and I hope everyone here has been inspired in one way or the other. Thank you so much, Vivian, for making out the time and preparing such a wonderful presentation. I really, really appreciate you because I know how tight the time can be. So thank you so much for willing to share such knowledge. Thank you everyone for joining. If you have more questions, you can ask in the group, and we are also going to post this on the social media platforms like YouTube or LinkedIn, and you can have it for reference. So thank you everyone for joining, and I hope you have a lovely week. Today